In the lush valley of Zonoka, where hills rose like sleeping giants and trees whispered secrets through the wind, a child was born beneath a blood-red moon. The villagers believed such moons brought omens, and when Noria, a young woman with eyes like storm clouds, gave birth in the middle of thunder and rain, everyone whispered one word: cursed. The baby girl, named Ayanda, had a head that seemed too large for her small body. As the midwives cradled her, they gasped. Her skin shimmered under the lightning's flicker, and her head paused as if it held not just a brain, but storms, secrets, and spirits within. She is touched by something unnatural, one midwife whispered. But Noria didn't listen. She held her baby tightly, singing lullabies from her mother's tongue. For weeks, she kept Ayanda wrapped tightly, hiding her head beneath scarves and silence. Yet as each moon passed, the child's head grew, slowly at first, then rapidly, unnaturally. Noria's neighbors began to avoid her. Children pointed. Elders shook their heads. A punishment, they said. She should never have danced under the full moon by the river. When Ayanda turned 1, Noria stopped singing. By the time Ayanda was 2, Noria barely looked her in the eye. The shame clawed at her soul, drowning out the faint love still blooming in corners of her heart. She could not bear the whispers, nor the way the village's eyes burned her with judgment. One stormy night, Noria wrapped Ayanda in a cloth and walked deep into the whispering woods, a cursed forest no one dared enter. She placed her daughter at the base of a crooked old baobab and whispered, "Forgive me, little one, but I cannot carry this shame." And then she ran. The forest wind howled, but the baby did not cry. Her large head tilted toward the sky, as if listening, not to the wind, but to something older. Ayanda's 16th season brought with it a strange hunger, not of the belly, but of the mind. While other girls in distant villages learned to plait hair or balance pots on their heads, Ayanda was sketching patterns in the dirt, gears, pulleys, and strange diagrams no one had taught her. Her fingers itched for materials. She shaped machines from tree bark, river stones, even the bones of fish. Some moved. Some smoked. Some buzzed for days. But the whispers grew louder. At night, the trees no longer murmured, they chanted. Ancient songs in a tongue she had never been taught but somehow understood. The voices called her to a place deep within the forest no path had ever led. One mist-soaked morning, she followed. Past the sleeping vines and thorny roots, beneath a canopy so thick no sun could pierce it, Ayanda found a hidden cavern veiled by hanging moss. Symbols glowed faintly along its mouth, swirling shapes like eyes and spirals, etched into stone as smooth as river water. She stepped inside. The air was thick, electric. The ground shimmered beneath her feet. At the center of the chamber sat a broken relic, a bronze sphere split in half, its heart pulsing with dim blue light. Around it, crystals floated midair, humming in unison. As Ayanda approached, the whispers crescendoed. Child of the mind, heir of the Nolambo, awaken the silence. Her fingers moved as if remembering something her soul knew but her body did not. She reassembled the sphere piece by piece. As the last fragments clicked into place, a wave of light flooded the chamber. The air rippled. Her skin glowed. Visions surged through her, the Nolambo, a long-lost civilization of brilliant inventors, silenced by jealousy and war. Their knowledge, sealed in relics, had waited for centuries for a vessel, a mind wide enough, deep enough, to receive them. That vessel was her. When Ayanda staggered out of the cave, her eyes shone with new understanding. She no longer saw trees, she saw formulas in branches. She no longer heard wind, she heard frequencies, codes, blueprints. She was not a curse. She was a key. And the world outside the forest had no idea what was coming. Years passed, and Ayanda grew not only in knowledge, but in confidence. Her machines no longer sputtered or smoked, they thrived. She invented tools that purified water using sunlight and wind chimes that translated animal sounds into patterns. Binta, now grey and slower in her steps, would often chuckle and say, "You build futures like others build huts." But Binta's time was drawing near. One cold evening, she handed Ayanda a cloth pouch containing a pendant carved in the ancient Nalambo spiral. "You've outgrown this forest," she whispered. "The world beyond Makandjula needs your mind, child. Go. And when they ask your name, don't say Ayanda. That name was left by someone who abandoned you. Call yourself Zenzil, one who does for herself." With tearful eyes, Ayanda buried her makulu beneath the baobab that had once cradled her. She packed her inventions, folded her tools into a traveling cloak, and left the Whispering Woods, not as a lost girl, but as a storm walking on 2 feet. The city of Makandjula was a marvel of its own, spiraling towers of red clay, crowded markets echoing with drums and laughter, and royal courtyards where rulers debated beneath flame trees. But when Zenzil arrived, wrapped in robes stitched with vines, and her oversized head held high, people stared. Children snickered. Traders whispered, "Look at her head. A monster. A fool." Zenzil paid no mind. She set up a table near the square and displayed a water purifier shaped like a beetle. It drew water from dirty puddles and produced clear, cool drops. She sold 1. Then 5. Then 100. Next came wind lanterns powered by breath, talking drums that sent messages between villages, and soybeds that grew food without rain. Her inventions spread like wildfire. Chiefs came with gold. Scholars came with questions. Even skeptics became investors. Within 3 seasons, Zenzil owned estates, factories, and schools. She built a hub of innovation called the House of Invention at the edge of Makandjula, a swirling complex made of recycled glass, copper, and Nanambo stone. Her face, once mocked, now appeared on fabrics, coins, and storybooks. Yet, behind the name Zenzil, few knew the truth, that the girl with the growing head from Zanoka had returned, not to be seen, but to change everything. Far away in the crumbling village of Zanoka, an old woman stirred from sleep. Noria, once proud and sharp-tongued, was now hunched and hollow-eyed. Her beauty had faded, and so had the whispers that once praised her name. She lived alone in a cracked hut with nothing but memory and regret to warm her bones. One day, the market square of Zanoka buzzed with travelers. Merchants spoke of a woman in Makandjula, a genius whose inventions had changed entire regions. "She calls herself Zenzil," they said. "They say her mind came from the gods." Noria's breath caught. "Zenzil," she muttered. That name pulsed like an echo through her soul. The next week, she journeyed to Makandjula. The roads were long and unfamiliar. Her sandals wore through. She begged for food, leaning on a crooked walking stick. But something deep within her urged her forward, a haunting, half-forgotten cry in the night wind. When she arrived in Makandjula, she was nothing but dust and rags. But the House of Invention stood proud and shining, surrounded by gardens that grew without water and lights that glowed without fire. Noria stood in awe. Children ran past her, laughing, clutching small gadgets that danced or sang. A fruit vendor, seeing her confusion, offered her a drink. "Are you here for the celebration?" he asked. "Zenzil is speaking tonight. You should hear her. They say she came from nowhere, but has the wisdom of 10 lifetimes." Noria nodded slowly, her heart heavy. That evening, beneath lanterns that floated like fireflies, Zenzil stepped onto the stage. She wore a long robe woven with threads of copper and silver. Her head, still large, shimmered under the glow of 1,000 lights. Noria gasped. The face was older, but the eyes were the same. "Ayanda." She stumbled forward through the crowd. "It's you," she whispered. I didn't know." Zenzil saw her, her expression unreadable. "I'm your mother, Noria cried. I didn't mean to leave you. I was afraid. I didn't know you were meant for greatness. Zenzil stared at the woman who had left her in the dark, the woman whose voice she had once cried for. The silence between them felt like thunder. Then Zenzil turned and walked away. But she did not say no. The city of Makandula shimmered with life that night. Lanterns floated like stars just above the heads of the people, and soft music played on flutes carved from glass and drums made of stone and fire wove through the warm air. It was the festival of fireflies, a celebration of invention, light, and renewal, a tradition Zenzil herself had revived. Each year, the people would gather to honor knowledge, progress, and those who illuminated the path forward. But this year, the crowd buzzed with a different kind of anticipation. Zenzil was scheduled to speak, not as an inventor, not as a leader, but as a daughter of the land. She stood on the balcony of the House of Invention, her long robe trailing like mist behind her. Her silver headband reflected the firefly light, and her head, still larger than others, had become her emblem, her crown. Below, the sea of faces turned to her. Many seasons ago, she began, her voice clear and deep, a child was left in the woods to die. Not because she was weak, but because she was different. Her head grew faster than her body. Her mind bloomed in ways no one could understand. And instead of love, she was met with fear. The crowd listened, unmoving. That child was me. Gasps rippled like wind through reeds. Mothers clutched their children. Elders lowered their heads. Zenzil continued. But I was not alone. I was raised by trees that spoke in whispers, and by a woman who saw my strangeness as strength. And in my solitude, I learned that the mind, not the face, not the name, not the past, is what shapes the world. She paused. Then, from the shadows, she extended her hand. Noria stepped forward. Eyes sunken, cheeks streaked with tears, she came to stand beside the daughter she had abandoned. This is my mother, Zenzil said. She left me. But tonight, she learns what I have learned, forgiveness is the highest form of genius. The crowd fell silent. Then, one by one, the people of Makandula knelt. Not to a queen, but to a woman who turned rejection into radiance, abandonment into brilliance, and who proved that even a wound, if tended with grace, can become a torch. Years passed like leaves in the river. Zenzil's name was no longer whispered with awe, it was sung in lullabies, taught in schools, etched in stone above libraries and healing houses. She had not just built an empire of machines and miracles, she had planted a new way of thinking. In every corner of the land, the Ayanda academies opened their doors. These were schools where no child was turned away for how they looked, spoke, or where they came from. Children with wide eyes and wild ideas were welcomed, nurtured, and celebrated. At the center of each academy stood a statue, a young girl with a large head, sitting beneath a tree, eyes turned upward, listening to the wind. Meanwhile, Zenzil grew older, though her spirit never slowed. Her inventions became quieter, gentler, a tree that grew books, a bracelet that calmed fear, a pendant that recorded dreams. One day, she returned to the whispering woods, walking alone beneath the same canopy that once cradled her cries. She visited the crooked baobab, now mighty and wrapped in vines of gold and silver, and laid flowers at the roots where Makulubinta rested. Above the grave, she built a monument, a spiral of stone and light, inscribed in Nalambo script, reading. She listened when others turned away. Then, from her satchel, Zenzil withdrew a smooth, glowing sphere, her final invention. It was a memory orb, one that carried her voice, her story, her truth. She placed it into a hollow carved in the tree's trunk. To the children yet to be born, she whispered. When they tell you that your difference is a curse, come here. Let the forest tell you who you truly are. And with that, she turned and walked into the mist. Decades later, Children still gather beneath the baobab tree in the heart of the woods, their eyes wide with wonder as the orb sings. Once, a girl was born with a head too big for her world. They called her cursed. But she built a future. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this incredible journey and found inspiration in Ayanda's story. If you love this tale, be sure to check out more captivating stories on our channel. There's always something new waiting to spark your imagination. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and drop a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share the video with friends and family to spread the magic of storytelling. Until next time, keep watching, keep dreaming.